uh, recently at a football game, and pardon me for not knowing the particular player's name that collapsed, and they said they had to revive him and so on and so forth. Um, because I really don't particularly follow the NFL or the NBA or the Major League Baseball or what. I really don't particularly follow professional sports anymore. And I guess it was kind of I had my inkling to remove myself from it pretty much around the time. Even before it, even when your guy Kaepernick was doing the Neil shit, because uh, we'd always anybody who I guess who doesn't have a specific affinity or dedication or a sincere love for these games, we already know that pretty much these NFL athletes or NBA athletes or whomever athletes are pretty much high priced, highly paid slaves. And you might have those people say, well, they make all that money. How can you consider them slaves? Well, even on the plantation, you was allowed to have room, shelter, and food, and get whatever rags. It's just whatever in the situation where you're in a professional player, they just give you an attractive enough slavery package, and well, I guess you're able to ignore the mistreatment because I guess in your mind it doesn't outweigh the comfort of the riches and the status. Now what happened was, and when this player passed out, I guess the sport commentator Skip Bayless, he had made a tweet, and he was like speaking about the game, and he said, even though there's no way you could replay this game, but it's such a crucial game, but even in all of that, that's irrelevant. And I guess when he left the irrelevant part on the end of his tweet in order to assure that he wasn't being heartless. Now, the thing about it is that whether he was intentionally whether he was intentionally trying to clean it up or whether he didn't, whether he meant it or whether he didn't mean it, that doesn't necessarily matter. What I'm trying to get to is a point where this situation and a lot of other situations where it can be the perception of racism may be involved. It seems like the same old shit happens, and it really is bad. And I guess it really kind of facilitated itself, I guess, with the advent of so-called cancel culture on these social media and internet sites and things like that, where we can get on and Skip Bayless, he made a tweet. So what do we do? What does the black person, the African American person, do in response? What they do is that they tweet their outrage. They tweet, "Oh, he hurt our feelings. He's so insensitive. That was a mean guy. He's a racist. Oh, he's been a racist." But at the end of the day, considering the system, a lot of people don't like to think that that the system that we live underneath, the society that we live underneath, is an anti-black racist society. So what really kind of provoked me to make this video, because it kind of gets on my nerves, because a lot of us know this shit. But we'll spend days and days and paragraphs after paragraph, thought piece after thought piece, to talk about how we're hurt by the existence of racism, the racism that we already know existed. Now, I titled this that the racists, the white supremacists, they don't care uh, how much you cry about it. Oh, this. It's a shame. He's so insensitive. He's a racist. And then there's situations where, well, if such and such was, if the player was the white guy, then he'd have been more sensitive. Now, if you have the knowledge and the understanding that we live under a system, and a lot of people don't, some people don't believe in the system of white supremacy, even though it took uh, a few people, and ironically, on the same social media. It took a couple of people to continually beat the drum on that there is a system of white supremacy that actually exists, to the point where now you might find it being said by your favorite news commentator or someone like that. It's become part of the popular vernacular. But whether or not you believe that system exists, I guess it's all in perception. But you know, if you do believe this system exists, then why would you expect, anything other than something that a Skip Bayless would do? A popular, a celebrated white male who is popular in whatever his field of expertise. They said, well, Skip ain't played football. Skip studied the game. Skip he built his way up, whether he was plucked by those who are considered the owners to have his position, or whether or not it's just that he used his intellection, and he learned enough about the game, and learned enough about talking about several games. I guess not only football but basketball or whatever sports. Um, in his position, because you have him on a program is Skip Bayless and it's Shannon Sharp, and Shannon Sharp. One thing I'm gonna need Shannon Sharp to do, because really, uh, and it's kind of like when we think about how constructive when how constructive it is for black people as a whole when these athletes or these popular celebrity figures speak out in regards to racism. Uh, I'm gonna need Shannon to stop. You're a big, strong guy, man. You're a former football player. This, that, and the third. I'm gonna need you to keep your tone beyond high pitch and to stop sounding like you're crying about the situation. You know who you work with. Uh, when you inputted yourself in the situation with Kyrie Irving, which is yet another situation, where uh, clearly there was some form of anti-black racism afoot because of the way he was treated. But, like I said before in the beginning, due to the fact that they pay you these high dollars, you athletes these high dollars, they're able to put all kind of rules on you. And if they perceive that you have broken a rule, they can put all kind of penalty on you. So if they want you to apologize, you go say you sorry. You want to keep on playing. If they want you to pay some money for whoever they deem that you offended, you gonna pay that money. Ask yourself who Skip Bayless is gonna pay. Who is Skip Bayless gonna pay because he hurt numerous football loving uh, African American Black Negroes feelings because he wasn't sensitive in their mind. He wasn't sensitive enough to the plight of one of their highly paid servants, into the NFL's highly paid servants. These people own these guys. And I guess into a perspective, like when we go to our particular jobs and do our work, you know, if we want to continue to get the benefits of the plant, if we want to continue to reap the fruits of our labor on the plantation, then them people to an extent own us. I guess what really kind of provoked me, because I went over this thing, and I mean, and it's not necessarily just a Skip Bayless situation. It could be just about any measure of things where a Karen or Brad might have offended, or might even done something, an action that was perceived racist and maybe violent or disrespectful. Uh, the thing about it is, like I said before, you may or may not believe there is a system of white supremacy, but you have to acknowledge that there is anti-black, there's a some anti-black mistreatment by the name which I refer to as anti-black racism, because it's specifically practiced against those who are considered black. So if you have this knowledge, which I do, you know, and you know how things operate within this system, why are you surprised when things actually coincide with the rules and regulations of, the rules and regulations wasn't written for your benefit. They were written in the efforts to make sure that you are utilized and exploited and marginalized and put in your place. Because like I say plenty of times, there's a tier system. You have the European. You may have your Asian, you may have your Middle Eastern Arab, you may have your Spanish person, uh, Ukrainian, Russian, whatever. In between, all from here to here, this is us. We down here. So, why are you surprised at the mistreatment? We are the least of these. So it kind of it gets to the point where it's insufferable. Them people don't care how much you cry. They, matter of fact, they would prefer you just cry and strike and march and things and do like that because they know that you scared. You're not gonna tear up nothing. You rely on, like I said, the fruits of the plantation. If for example, if they say, well, we gonna cut off your water, what you gonna do? You ain't gonna. What you live in the inner city. What you gonna walk down to the river? If they close your grocery store, you don't have or you're gonna go into your garden or on your farmland and pick your crops and go from your crop. Maybe go out there and slaughter a hog or cut the head off a chicken, and so you can make sure you eat. Even right now, you had a situation with the cost of eggs. Eggs is, I mean, this affects everybody. But of course, when we talk about income gaps, it's going to affect those who are at the bottom of the income gap the most negatively. Even with the situation with the chickens and the eggs, you don't even have uh, an egg farm. You can go buy eggs, so you're underneath the the stipulations brought upon the situations uh, underneath your oppressor's economy. I don't know if I'm putting that together, but basically what I'm saying is that when but long before the European the American white person acknowledges there's a recession, the black person has long been underneath that recession. Food stamps can't save us. Really, in my mind, I think food stamps caused this shit. Cause when Biden gave his stimulus package for Corona, it wasn't so much about cash where we could inject it back into the economy and maybe build something and put ourselves into a better situation, which some of us did during the first stimulus packages of the coronavirus under President Trump. What Biden did was similar to what Obama did when the recession happened underneath the housing crisis. They made sure people had plenty of food stamps. So now, after the fact that when Biden gave all those stamps out and stuff like that, people were racked up with even the kids was getting a certain amount of food stamps. Uh, the price of food has gone up, scarcity of food. So them food stamps ain't going as far as they used to go. And even for us who don't receive any stamps, the fact that they injected all of that USDA surplus money of I guess it's not even money. What it is I guess it's a giveaway for those who are farmers and so on and so forth. Uh, we have to deal with the high prices now. And I didn't get off on what I was talking about, but I guess it came to this because really all it is like, you know, I'm saying you can get on your Twitter, you can get on your Facebook, you can get on your TikToks and Instagrams or whatever, and much like myself, you can get on YouTube and cry about how these people are. But We holler about we need our reparations, but even if they put a bag of money in your hand, we haven't even began to discuss how we go about repairing ourselves. Because a lot of this shit that needs repairing most immediately can be done without even having a check. If we get off to the point where we know, okay, if we expect a certain type of treatment under this system, we're gonna do our best in order to avoid getting mistreated. But we rather just cry about it and hopefully some good old white benefactor come and pat us on our head and hold our hand and tell us it's gonna be all right. That they relate to our situation. They feel our pain. They would have a bill. I feel your pain. Stop being a sucker. That's all I'm saying with it. Fucks, all this shit y'all. If you're building, let's say for if you're building a better society, if you're building a better if you're building a better family, you building better family relations, and you're building better relationships with your neighbors in order to try to somewhat whatever community, whatever semblance of a community you may have. If you're working on building that up, then this little shit like Skip Bayless's tweet won't even matter to you because you got other things to focus on. So with that being said, man, them people don't give a damn if you cry. You can boo-hoo and cry all you want to. Black Lives Matter. Y'all marched all 2020. And then it's like, okay, and then I'm going to go, I got one more thing I'm going to bring up. It's like, y'all talking about a purge. Because from my mind, the first thing they talking about the purge is how, like, okay, they use this argument of the purge uh, to the extent where they say, well, they're eliminating cash bail for some offenses or what have you. All during those protests, if I recall correctly, during those protests, y'all, one of the bullet points was that that it is unfair for certain people to certain economically poor, marginalized people in poverty to have to deal with coming up with cash bail when they're already poor. So what they did was, okay, they built up a bill and they put it together and it pretty much it passed up here. But what they did, and it's the same, and this was all this rallying for this type of program, to where we had to be less cash bill. All that was done underneath the Republican president, and it was put into play underneath this Republican president. But what happens is, as soon as a Democrat president comes in, the energy switches. Not defund the police, fund the police. And I mean, I guess there's arguments that could be to the pro or con of funding the police, because there are certain programs when they fund the police, there are also certain programs that are earmarked for the communities that are policed by those police. But our communities, for the most part, we're not smart enough to figure out how to get some of those monies from the police fund, from the government funding that goes to the police. But there's also the fact that okay, they come up with all kind of new kind of weapons and surveillance and things of that nature to make uh, a black person, whether you're a criminal, and I guess things should be harder for you if you're a nigga that's out here uh, doing shit to hurt other black people. It should be harder for you. But by default, those who may not necessarily be criminals, we may do certain things that may be stretch that may stretch the how shall I say the color of law. But we not bad people. But in the funding of the police, in the negative aspect, we still fall into the same type of persecution of those who may intentionally be villainous. What I say is this, in regards to that, they say, well, it's unfair. They shouldn't. It's going to be a purge. It's going to be a problem if they eliminated cash bail for these certain situations. What about those people who actually have the funds to pay the bill? If they're able to pay their bail out, You still have to worry about the same type of situation and circumstances if there was someone who had the option to not have to pay a cash bill. I don't know, man. I didn't get off on point, but the summary of it all, uh, I don't want don't you don't call me a tap dancing coon sambo because I say when I say to y'all, I'm sick of I'm fed with all the whining about the racism. I mean, it's something about some action. It's time for some action. We know it exists. What are we gonna do about it? Besides talk about it. Besides go to the same people that facilitate the anti-black racism against us as if there's somehow some form of mercy and compassion. All that is placation and condescension. They gonna make you feel better, cause that's all what it's all about. Evidently, it's all about how you feel, not about what it is and changing about what it is. So that's my scree. I've been kind of laying, kind of halfway in on the YouTube shit. And I need a few hours. If you have been captivated enough to listen to what a nigga is talking about. So peace and love, nigga nation or nothing.